wonderful people, as we get in and we get ready for Late Nights with Santana, please do all the wonderful things, right? Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me. It's only one coin and we'll boost the live and push us out to the FIP. I'm going to challenge the chat tonight because you guys do like an amazing job during sparring with knocking out the daily gift goal and tapping the screen. But for some reason with late nights, you guys just kind of sit and listen and you're not really like engaging. I get late nights is a place where, you know, we can really learn and get a lot from it, but I need you guys active. I need you guys to do the things, right? So I need you guys to tap the screen, get the likes up, send your daily heart me. It's only one coin. I need you guys to knock out the daily gift goal. It'll boost the live, push us out to the FYP. If you guys fall asleep, that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. Guys, this is night 2 of Late Nights with Santana, and the topic for this evening is abolishing police and prisons. We had a wonderful discussion last night and an intro to it, and so we will move forward with this actual conversation for night 2. If you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. Please remember, Late Nights is a panel discussion, and since it is a panel discussion, that means any and everyone is welcome. The only thing that you need to do is be ready to join the conversation. We talked about what is an abolitionist, which is super important to the point that we're making when it comes to abolishing police and prison. And we talked about the profit that's behind the prison system. We talked about the reality as far as police and prisons not actually perpetuating the type of safety that people believe. And we have a topic that, of course, we didn't touch on, but you guys know how we trend towards the rest of the week, in which the last topic is always going to be a call to action, in which our call to action this week, we're looking at the quote unquote breaking down and rebuilding. But and also, I have a special guest with me all week, Abolitionist Al. Hey, Al.
Hi, how are you today?
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, guys, you know how we do it. Keep tapping the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me, knock out the daily gift goal, repost the live, maybe share it once or twice. That's good, but repost the live. That helps way more than anything else. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Let's go.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late Nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go! Late Nights Truth in the Convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams and the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late Nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight. We here to connect the dots, yeah. Late Nights with Santana. You already knew. Late Nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. No highlight reel, just the soul's reflection. No shade throwing, just connection. From streetwise truths to deep reflections, we turn hard talks into blessings. They say they run a game, we build new rules. We here to heal, uplift, and break the old rules. They kept us boxed in, divided by fear. But you find us lined up when the truth appears. Yeah, weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, Late Nights with Santana. You already knew. Late Nights with Santana. Late nights, no static. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this is purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Weekly topics, hearts wide open. No judgment, just motion. Real ones are talking, no cussing. Cause Mama Jones still watching, no fronting. Yeah, Late Nights with Santana. You already knew. Late Nights with Santana.
Thank you for the heart hand, sis. Guys, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. This is Late Nights with Santana. This is a panel discussion. And guys, with this panel discussion, that means anyone is welcome to join the conversation. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, all you have to do is go ahead and request up. If you are over on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Kick, and you would like to join the conversation, guess what? You can do so as well. The only thing that you have to do is click that pin message that's at the top of the screen, and there's a link, 2 links. One, support. Second link is for anyone that wants to join the conversation. All you got to do is click that link and you can be added to the conversation. Al, before we start bringing people in, I want to give you the floor. Let's kind of set the stage. So last night we kind of got an intro into overall the premise of being an abolitionist and what that looks like, and some of the things that we wanted to talk about. What do we have for the people tonight, and which direction do you want to take this?
I was thinking, so, the original plan was to kind of on day 2 talk about private prisons and what we think of as for-profit prisons, when in reality, all prisons are for profit. And I think that is a good place to start, but maybe also transition into that abolitionist conversation about what that means for prisons, and also maybe kind of touch a little more on police. We kind of got around to it yesterday, but I think there was some points that I'd like to hit, kind of about the bad apples myth again, which is really prevalent. So yeah, I think maybe starting the conversation about private prisons or for-profit prisons would be good, and then just kind of letting it flow.
Okay. Perfect. So if you are someone that's interested in joining the conversation, again, no matter if you are over here on the TikToks, if you are on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, or Kick, and you would like to join the conversation, again, the topic is abolishing police and prisons. Go ahead and request up. We're going to go ahead and start bringing people in. And as we bring people in, please make sure that you mute yourself. Oh, Manders, I thought, oh, looks like we had Manders over on YouTube, but I guess they dropped out. So anywho, we're going to bring people in. And as we bring people in and add to the panel, please mute yourself. And we will do a quick introduction and then get into it. We'll do a quick introduction and then get right into it. Let's see here.
And while you're working on that, I did want to mention to the audience, my Linktree has my Substack in it, and each day that we've done this or that we're doing this, I post a new Substack post. It is free. It's not a subscription required, but it just kind of jots down the main points of what we're going to be talking about, and then it offers like a lot of resources. So probably sources that I will cite through the night, and also just additional reading you can do on that stuff. Because I wanted people to be able to have that tangible thing after they leave the live.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. All right, we're gonna start with. I know I'm gonna mess up your name. Is it Takata?
Hey Santana, no, you were very close. It's pronounced Dakota. It's actually Native American.
Takota. How are you this evening?
I'm doing pretty good, actually. I was up on your live stream, I think 3 weeks ago, give or take. I wanted your take on a topic you were doing at the time. This is actually my first time on your night's panel discussions, and I did kind of want to get your guys' take on this, per se, as your discussion is abolishing police.
Okay, well, just one second though, Dakota. We're going to do an introduction and then we'll get to it, but just hold tight. For the introduction question I do have for you though, Dakota, I guess sticking with the topic that we have for this evening, just in general, what is your general take on the prison system, for-profit prison, other forms of prison? What's your general take on the prison system?
So my personal take on the prison system as a whole, there is definitely work to be done as regarding to rebuild it and get it to where it technically should be. I completely disagree with how they treat inmates as like essentially slaves, so to speak, not trying to be rude or egregious, so to speak, but there is definitely a lot of corruption, and it's more, what would you say, legal workforce, slave labor, so to speak. I
Okay.
do have some opinions,
Oh.
but I'm sure
Okay,
you want
well-
to also ask James.
Yep. Hold tight just a moment, and I'll come back to you. All right, James. You swiped out for half a second, but James, how are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
Good. James, what is your general take on the prison system? Private prisons, for-profit prisons. What's your take on the prison system?
I mean, I think likewise with any system, there's obviously problems within it, but I see no justification to completely abolish police and prisons. I think that's absurd.
Okay.
I don't think it's acceptable for a civilized society.
Okay. Perfect. Give me just a second here. And last but not least, over on YouTube, I'm trying to make sure I'm gonna have to do this a little bit different. Damon, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you, Santana?
Good. Damon, can you tell the people what is your general premise on the prison system?
Overall, I just think it needs to go, pretty much. I have family that lives in Norway, and their system is based on actual rehabilitation. And so I think that a total change needs to happen.
Okay. Perfect. All right, give me just a second here. All right, guys. Remember, if you are interested in joining the conversation, any and everyone is welcome to join the conversation. This is late night, so this is a panel discussion. This is a respectful back and forth panel discussion, so you can get an opportunity to join and be able to speak, have yourself heard without the over talking and all the other stuff that happens on other panels. So if you're interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and request up. I will be rotating people in and out, make sure that we get an opportunity to hear from a multitude of people. But even if you don't join, I still need you all to be active participants. What does that mean? That means a couple of different things. First and foremost, I need everyone tapping the screen. Tap the screen, share the live, send your daily heart me. It's only one coin. It will boost the live and push us out to the FYP. I'm throwing down the gauntlet, right? Because on sparring, you guys are active, right? Completely active. You're tapping the screen. You're knocking out the daily gift goal. I'm going to challenge you guys to do that here on late nights. So first and foremost, knock out the daily gift goal. It's a little 1 cent gift goal. I'm going to keep resetting those 1 cent gift goals. If we can knock those out a couple of times, it'll boost the live, pushes out to the FYP. Also, tap the screen. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 50,000 likes. For a couple of things for the people on the panel. Guys, please use TikTok friendly language. What does that mean? That means language like pew pew, unalive, C19, mustache man, all of those types of things that will protect not only your TikTok, but it will protect the live. Also, I want to remind you guys that this is a safe and friendly community. What does that mean? That means that we don't deal with any of the isms, racism, sexism, classism. We don't do any of the phobias, homophobia, transphobia, none of that. We don't play that on the panel nor in the comment sections. The chat. Speaking of the chat, chat, please remember caps are for mods. Using caps will pull my attention away from the panel and to the chat, and I want to be able to remain focused on the actual conversation at hand. So please do not use caps. Last but not least, if you guys enjoy what we do here on late nights, if you would like to support late nights, if you want to keep it going, please consider donating. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links in the link tree in the bio. Santana Speaks For You. Santana Speaks For You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube and you would like to support the live, you can do so with a YouTube super chat, and I will read that out. We do have Al here who is leading this conversation with us this week, and Abolitionist Al. We talked about the GFM, but we are going to have Al's pay links running in the poll. So if you would like to show Al some love, please do so. Al's Venmo and Cash App will be in the pay links as well. So make sure we're following Al, make sure we're gifting Al, but more than anything, just make sure we're showing Al some love. All right. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and get started. And Al, I'm going to give you the floor. And I think what I would like to do is let you set the stage. But I think we should start with the conversation with James, because I'm actually kind of really interested to hear his opposition from the stance of civil societies need prisons and police systems. But Al, floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I think that's actually great if we start there, because every guest is kind of everywhere on the board. But if we start with James, that'll set a good foundation. So maybe if James wants to maybe explain why he doesn't feel there's any justification for abolishing, or maybe what issues you see with abolishing police and prisons.
Yeah, I agree. So, James, we'll give you the floor. I would love to hear your perspective, and even more so, I guess the question I would have, and what I would like to hear a little bit more about, I know you're standing in opposition of that. If you can tell us a little bit more about why you feel like it's necessary, and if it's necessary, are there any concessions that you're willing to make? Just any of your surrounding thoughts around that. But the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should have people who committed crimes, nevertheless violent ones, should just be roaming on the street. I think we should have rehabilitation, and obviously in some cases I think prison is needed to confine them from the outside world, because I don't believe in capital punishment. Obviously, I think there should be some restrictions, like it should be in a way that respects human dignity, but I see no reason to fully abolish it.
Okay, and anything else you wanted to add to that?
It's basically
okay.
I've actually never seen many people with this stance before, so I was just coming up for your thoughts.
Okay. I guess one follow-up question I would have for you then, before I pass it back to Al. What's been your overall, I take a whole step back. Can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, your, approximate age, your race, what part of the country you live in?
Yeah, I'm 18 from Arizona. I'm not sure how you would classify my race. I'm part Mexican, part white, so call it whatever you want to call it. I just say I'm Hispanic usually. So
yeah, I mean, do you present as, when people look at you, do they see like a white person? Do they see like maybe an indigenous person? What do they see?
I've gotten both before. I usually just say I'm Hispanic. I don't usually say I'm just white or like indigenous.
Okay. But I guess if someone saw you from a distance, would they think that you are white, or would they think that you are indigenous?
Probably closer to white.
Okay, perfect. And the only reason I'm throwing those questions out is because I just want to get a better understanding. So Arizona, you would classify as white and you're 19. Have you had any interactions with law enforcement or the prison system?
When I was younger, yeah.
Okay.
Like middle school.
Okay. I'm sorry. Give me 1 second. This person, huge whatever. Please stop. If you can't stop whatever you're doing in the comments, cut it out. If you don't understand, oh, okay, yeah. I'm just gonna mute you. This is late nights, and you're not gonna do weird things here. So like, I'm not gonna take any type of slander, whether it be towards someone who may have a quote unquote opposite stance or whatever the case may be. But we have a respectful chat here. And when I tell the people that we don't do any of the things, we don't do it on the panel, we don't do that in the comments either. And I truly mean that. So making derogatory comments towards people on the panel, even if they say something that you don't like, is unacceptable. And this is just a warning for everyone in the comment section. I'm not exactly sure. And maybe it's because at times we switch back and forth between debates and late nights, which is a panel discussion, and people have a hard time conceptualizing the difference between a debate and an actual conversation looking to gain understanding from each other. But we will hold a line of respect, and everyone will receive respect, whether you're in a chat, whether you're on a panel, no matter who you are. So yeah, there's that. All right, I apologize, James. You tell me, you said when you were younger.
You're good. Yeah, probably like middle school or something.
Okay, all right. How would you categorize that interaction with the police?
I think it was overall fine. I don't think they did anything wrong. Pretty positive.
Okay, so it would be fair if I said throughout your life, in which you're relatively young, you haven't had many negative interactions, and even more so, just due to your age, the racial category that you fall in, things along those lines, you wouldn't be someone that overwhelmingly would just, on a normal basis, be targeted.
Depends what you mean. I mean, it's definitely complicated. I don't want to have to explain everything that happened and like when I was younger.
Yeah, no. Somewhat,
I would agree.
General. Just in general. Yeah. Okay. All right. Al, floor is yours.
So I think I'll start by just kind of setting the stage to say that abolition does not mean shutting down prisons and firing all police tonight, and then tomorrow we wake up and see what happens. And then I would like to know, because you did mention that you think that our current system treats people inhumane. It has inhumane treatment, right? So, like, how would you suggest we do better under our current system? If you think it sounds like you think reform is necessary, so I guess I'm asking how do you think we should do that?
I don't think it's necessarily inherently inhumane. I think there's some aspects that I would disagree with. I think definitely more representation for those who can't afford it as much, and maybe better conditions within the prison. That would pretty much be it.
Okay. I mean, how do you feel about slavery being legal in prison?
I don't think there's slavery in prison.
Have you read the 13th Amendment lately?
I'm aware of what the 13th Amendment is, yeah.
I was just gonna say, if you hadn't, lucky for you, even though this is late nights, I do actually keep my handy dandy 13th Amendment on file, right? So I think that's important for everyone to see, and I guess to drive home whatever point Al is getting ready to make. I would just like to pop that on the screen so we can have that.
Yeah, so you said you don't think it's slavery. Can you explain?
Yeah, I don't think making a PDF file work in a soup kitchen for a minimal amount of pay is slavery. I think it's giving justice.
You think that provides justice to the people that were harmed?
Yeah, because it works on rehabilitation, making them a productive member of society. They don't get paid much, but I don't think you should get paid much when you're a PDF file.
Can I'm sorry, 1 second, Al. James, can you just read what that says really quick?
Yeah, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction.
Okay, so can we agree that at the very least, whether you agree or disagree with the punishment that is levied, can we both agree that even by the premise of the Constitution that it is slavery?
Like, what part of it is slavery specifically?
Well, that the Constitution deems it to be slavery.
What aspect of it would be slavery?
The Constitution aspect, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for a crime, and blah blah blah. But it's saying that's the only premise, that slavery or involuntary servitude is acceptable.
Yeah, right.
Okay, perfect. I'm sorry, Al, you can go ahead and finish. I just wanted to make sure that we're all on one accord, even though you agree with the actual punishment, it is slavery.
No, I don't. Wait, what part of that meets the definition of slavery?
The Constitution deems it to be slavery.
Except as a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted.
Yes. It highlights when slavery or involuntary servitude is acceptable.
Right.
Okay,
so how is that slavery?
Because that's what the Constitution deems it to be, slavery.
Well, I'm asking you to like justify, like, what part of working in prison as rehabilitation meets the definition of slavery?
The
like
Constitution defines the sending to in the prison system as slavery. Like this is
no, I don't think you understand what I'm saying. I'm saying what specific aspect in workforce and in prisons meets the definition of slavery.
I think that what you're trying to say is you don't look at being in prison as the classical form of slavery is what you would deem to be slavery in your mind. And I'm not trying to define what slavery would or would not be in your mind. I'm saying that the Constitution dictates that if you are duly convicted of a crime, then the punishment is slavery or involuntary servitude.
Wait, that's not what I'm asking though. I'm saying what aspect of working within prison systems meets that definition? Like what specific thing?
I would say legal coercion.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt you, Santana,
No, go
but
ahead. Sorry.
No. I think he's saying how what Santana is saying is it doesn't matter how either one of us define it. It's deemed slavery by the Constitution.
No, I don't think you're understanding my question. I'm saying even considering the definition of the Constitution, I'm saying what specific aspect of working in the prison
you're
systems
trying
meets
your
that
definition. Your point is like what would actually make it slavery. That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
Yeah, I'm saying it doesn't matter. Yeah, well, and Al can say that, but I'm going to hold to the premise that it doesn't matter what would quote unquote meet the threshold of calling it slavery, because you can say, well, this isn't slavery because, you know, people aren't being beat. People aren't, you know, doing this or whatever. But I mean, the aspects of the prison system, whether you are involuntarily held, if you are made to work for free, if you are put in bondage. I mean, like there are parallels that directly correlate with, you know, the idea of chattel slavery and even indentured servitude. But the point being is that I think trying to find the threshold where we would say, well, this is acceptable to call it slavery and this is not acceptable to call it slavery. It's deemed under the United States Constitution as a punishment in which the punishment is slavery.
I'm asking you to justify that claim. Like what? I don't think you're understanding my question, which is fine, but I'm saying like what aspect in the prison systems in working meets that definition? I'm not asking based off of a personal definition. I'm saying even based off the constitutional definition.
I think you're missing the point. And Al, I'm just going to give it back to you and I'm going to stop. I think you're missing the point. The point being is we're not trying to use a personal definition. We're not trying to make a one-for-one comparison. We are highlighting that based off of the United States Constitution, that a punishment that is acceptable is slavery if you are duly convicted of a crime. That's what the Constitution says. And so people that are duly convicted of a crime, then a punishment is being put into the private prison system, i.e. slavery. But anyway, Al, floor is yours. You can keep moving.
I mean, I don't understand how you got to that exegesis of the Constitution. I don't know how you got that, like labor within prison systems meets the definition. I mean, I understand what you're trying to say, but
I'm not trying to listen. Hold on, James. I want to make sure you get this because I don't want to turn this into, you know, a quote unquote debate because you're trying to get a formal premise. And I'm telling you, that's not the topic of discussion. And if you want to debate the merit of what is or is not deemed slavery, that's fine. You can do that another time. But what I'm trying to clearly articulate is that the United States Constitution legalized slavery. And this is how slavery is acceptable within our country. But again, Al, the floor is yours. Not James, Al, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to turn it into sparring either. As much as I would enjoy that, but I think Santana's point is the point is that when we are talking about a country who was founded on chattel slavery, white supremacy, and then we make an amendment to say, well, you can't have slavery anymore except for this reason. I don't really think you need to justify slavery, what slavery is at that point. I'm not sure why that matters.
Well, because I think the presupposition is that it is slavery. By the way, I'm not trying to debate. Sometimes it comes off like that. I'm just more direct.
It does sound a little Philbro-y. is what it sounds like to me, which I don't think me or Santana is interested in.
Well, I think more so what it is it sounds like we're trying to get into the semantics and the classical definition, or how we could draw the one-to-one comparison versus understanding how it's been written and how it's been deemed as being acceptable. And I'm sure there's some understanding whether or not like each and every scenario could be classified as quote unquote slavery. Like that's not the point that we're getting to it. The more so the premise is the function of the prison system is a form of slavery and involuntary servitude, which is outlined in the Constitution.
Right, I don't think it meets the definition.
I'm sorry. At this point, James, I don't care. And I'm not trying to be rude, but now I feel like we're getting stuck in the semantical mud, and I want to keep the conversation moving. And it feels like you're being pedantic. And so at this point, like I hear you, I hear that's what you're saying, but we will move forward with the actual understanding and premise of what the Constitution defined it as. So anyway.
Yeah, and I don't even, I mean, really, if we want to talk about the coercion that's involved in making people work, because that's something that you brought up, which is that like they're being rehabilitated by the labor that they do when they're incarcerated, but that is rarely ever the case. So we can talk about people who help run the prison, people who are working inside the kitchens, who are doing maintenance on the prison, people who are cleaning. Rarely can they take that skill or what they've learned outside of prison, because they can't put that on a resume. They're rarely going to get a certificate for that, or some type of, something tangible that they can take to an employer. We can also talk about contractors who contract out labor. We can talk about the firefighters in California who, if they have a felony, they can't firefight after they're, outside of prison. So I would argue that this is not rehabilitation. It's just simply funding the system and helping us keep a lower class of individuals incarcerated.
Yeah, well, that's what I was actually asking. So I appreciate you for answering that. That's what I was trying to get, like some specific examples. First of all, I agree that firefighters, if they have a felony, they shouldn't be able to continue to do what they're doing. If someone does something that's unhinged with like a weapon or something, I don't think they necessarily have the right to continue doing that profession.
But you said it's rehabilitating them, so I'm confused. Is it not, or is it?
Yeah, like,
are we just going to hold it? Are we going to keep the poor decision with them their entire life, or are they being rehabilitated in prison?
Well, we can also take away privileges from people. For example, do you think it would be wrong to not allow someone to have a phone that previously sold pornography of people that are not of age? Because I think that would be acceptable to say they should not have a phone.
They should not have a phone?
Right.
So they couldn't
have extremely limited access.
Yeah, so like, do you still expect this person to be a member of society, like a productive member of society?
They can be, yeah.
Okay, without a cell phone? Because
I said, or very limited access.
Yeah. Again, I think that's problematic. Like, how are you going to enforce that? What are you going to do? Give them like a jitterbug flip phone so they can only call out? They can't fill out applications on their phone?
Yeah, I don't think we should. Yeah, I don't think we should grant special privileges to people who engaged in acts that are with people that are underage.
But you don't believe in the death penalty?
So no, I don't believe in the death penalty.
You think that we should just leave them to their own devices, strip them of their rights?
I don't think that's a right. I don't think having a phone is a right. I think it's a privilege.
What do you think about having a job?
Having a job, I think they should be allowed to have jobs.
Is that a privilege, or
having a job, like as far as an average paying one? Yeah, I think that's right. That's why I'm saying limited access, in the sense they can call people, they can apply for jobs.
You can apply for jobs without the internet.
Sure. Yeah, sure you can. You can go in person, talk to the manager. You can fill out an application. Of course you can.
In very little places can you do that in this day and age.
You can go to fast food place and do that easily.
Okay, but now you're expecting someone to work for less than a living wage. So
Yeah,
my
I think
point is,
30.
I don't hold on. I don't want to keep going down this because you are being very pedantic, and that's fine. I could do it all day, but I don't think that's what late nights is about. I think the point here is that you just want people to suffer. Is really what it sounds like. You don't actually
I don't
care
want
if
PDF
the prison
files to have.
Can
Special
James,
privileges.
Right.
James, again, this is not a debate. Please stop and let Al finish, and then you can speak again.
Yeah, I think that's another. I think that's a problem here is that that's the person that you're focusing on when that is like the least of our population that's incarcerated. So people are incarcerated for things all across the board, and if you are subjecting them to slavery, if you're subjecting them to situations that are not what you call rehabilitate, I can't ever say it. That don't rehabilitate. Yeah, that don't rehabilitate them. Then you just want people to suffer, and that's the bottom line. Is that you just don't care, and so I don't really know what your solution is if you're just going to say, well, we should just like strip them of everything they have and make them suffer.
Because
So
I don't think we should advocate for special
hold tight,
rights for PDF files.
Yeah, sure. Let's hold tight because again, this is a panel discussion, and I don't want to neglect the other people that are here patiently waiting to join the conversation. So I want to make sure that we get an opportunity to hear from the other people that's on the panel as well. What I will say is for all the people here, guys, please make sure that we are protecting the live. Tap the screen, share the live. Let's go ahead and get the likes up to 100,000 likes. Right now we have the finger hearts as the little gift goal. So please, please, please knock out the finger hearts. Also, W's in the chat for Tori. Tori sent out 10 YouTube subscriptions over on YouTube. W's in the chat for Tori. W's in the chat for Fixer, who sent a $2 Aussie to say, thank you for the free subscription, Santana. No, that's thank you to Tori. And W's in the chat for Trey for the $5 YouTube super chat to say, having a phone is neither a right nor privilege. Facts. W's in chat for the people over on YouTube. If anyone else would like to support the live, if you guys enjoy what we do here on late nights and you want to keep it going, please, please, please consider supporting the live. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, pay links and Linktree in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat and I will read that out. And again, guys, please make sure that we're taking care of my wonderful co-host, Abolitionist Al. Make sure you give Al a follow. Make sure we're gifting Al, and Al's pay links are running in the poll in the bio. Stop in and show Al some love. But with that being said, Takada, I want to get you in on this conversation. What's your take? How do you feel about the private prison system and hearing what's said? What's your take on the premise of one, if it is or is not, it meets the threshold of being slavery, and two, what do you think that there is an actual possibility for rehabilitation within the prison system?
Hey, Santana. So after listening what James and Abolitionist Al was saying, I do believe wholeheartedly that there is definitely slavery within the prison system. I know from an outside point of view, if you've never experienced the inside of a prison system, it may not seem that way to you, but as you displayed in your accordance with the 13th Amendment, it definitely is slavery. I mean, oftentimes they're not just like applying for those programs. They definitely are sometimes being forced into those work trades. And as Al said, that's not exactly something they can slap on a resume after they've served their time for the crimes they've committed. And under the current prison system, there is definitely absolutely no way that rehabilitation can be possible, given that it is basically free slavery to our government. However, the individual you brought up, I believe from Kick, they made an absolute fabulous point. The prison system in Norway, for instance, if we broke down our prison system as it is now and rebuilt it with the way that they do things there, I wholeheartedly agree that the individuals that are in prison, whether they're in there for a short amount of time, middle amount of time, or for life, they still can rehabilitate their lives and gain something from a positive experience rather than what the prison system is now, which is a definite negative impact on their livelihood. I mean, they're being thrown in isolation, solitary confinement for 23/7, essentially, or from committing some egregious stand up against the prison guards. I mean, that solitary confinement in a hole drives you insane and leaves you worse off than, being given a chance for proper rehabilitation.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that in the actual treatment and how people endure, especially when it comes to different levels of activities that wind people up in jail. Al, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I think Norway or the Nordic system does provide a great example of what could be. But my main point with this, and someone did mention it earlier in the chat, is that their culture is a lot different than ours. And so if we simply slap the Nordic prison system onto ours, it wouldn't work the same, because they do better about taking care of their citizens. So if we talk about healthcare is provided, if we talk about education is provided, things like that, that we simply don't care about or provide for our people. So that kind of culture as a foundation is really important for the success of something like the Nordic model. I would love to see us move to something like that. But we also have to start, I think, like we talked about yesterday with poverty. We have to talk about meeting people's material needs and ultimately capitalism and white supremacy. So, yeah.
Okay. Damon, coming to you. What do you think? Because you are the one that brought up the overall premise as far as like the Nordic model. I think that Al makes a great point, but I would love to hear not only your thoughts on what Al just said, but also just to chime in on the conversation that we've been having so far.
I'm sorry about that. I was having a hard time with my microphone.
You sound kind of far away.
Oh, give me a second.
Yep. And guys, if you don't mind, again, keep tapping the screen. If we could knock out the finger hearts, that's the daily gift goal. That would be absolutely wonderful. So please tap the screen and knock out the daily gift goal. This is Late Nights with Santana, and we're going to make sure that we get more people in here to be able to join this conversation. So if you are interested in joining the conversation, go ahead and hit that request button. If you're over on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and you want to join the conversation, you can do so. The only thing that you have to do is click that link that's in the pinned message. You don't have to leave where you are. You just have to click that link. While we wait on Damon, I do want to say, Al, I think it's interesting when it comes to the comparison, because I never thought about the perspective that you were saying, and I guess that makes sense, right? When you talk about the difference in the perspective of societies, and I always like point to the different Nordic models as like templates that we can use here within the United States of America. But talking about the difference within like our country, our society, our culture, and the things that center in what we find substance in versus what other countries find substance in. And I think it does speak to the like the overall quality of life of people. And that makes a lot of sense, because the way that other countries value their people and other things dictates like their entire, for lack of better words, infrastructure within their society. And if I'm going to be honest, the current prison system, policing system that we have is the antithesis of like what the United States of America stands for. I think it's actually fitting that we have something this bad, because this is what our country values.
One of my favorite quotes is, and I don't remember who said it, so I can't remember to tell you that, but it basically says, like, if you want to know what a society is like, look at their prisons. And I think that's exactly what you just said. If you look at our prison system and the way that we treat people, and and what we value there, like i.e. punishment, I think that that says a lot about our society. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Debbie's in chat for Wendy for the $2 donation, saying back to say sick hat. Thank you. I love this. Is one of my favorite hats. I think it says it all, right? And I think that's super important to keep in mind. But Debbie's in chat for Wendy. Damon, are you good to go?
I think so. How does it sound now?
A little bit better. Go ahead. Floor is yours.
Okay. Yeah, so I totally agree with that take, where America's definitely way far off of achieving anything similar to the Nordic model at all. It's just a pipe dream, but, you know, a guy can dream. I definitely agree with the fact that the modern prison systems here in America are slavery, but not only just because of the slave labor, but unpaid labor, but also because of the inadequate healthcare, the inadequate food that they get there. It's every bit as inhumane as people would imagine slavery to be. It's just, especially because of its for-profit model, they only care about profit margins rather than the people inside, which is why I think that the whole system just needs to go and something new needs to prop up.
Okay. Al, I know without giving away, I guess without giving away all of the game, right? When it comes to, because a lot of people say something else new needs to come and something else needs to be propped up. Is that feasible in the sense of like, is there something that could be easily replaceable, or is that something that people are going to have to like bunker in and like really be prepared for some type of massive change in order to get to something better?
You're gonna have to strap in. I always refer to it as like a speed bump before you can get to where you want to go, because there's always going to be a really bad time before we get where we want to go. If we want to address capitalism and we want to talk about revolution, there's gonna be I'm trying not to use poor language here. There's gonna be some bad things that happen before we get there, and that's just the reality of it. And that's just the honest answer, is that I think we have to do a lot of changing. We really have to address capitalism. And I always push back. I know you know this. I always push back on saying an alternative or a replacement, because I don't think we should be replacing punishment. I don't think we should be replacing incarceration. I think we need to address the true roots of the problem. And that's poverty. That's white supremacy, capitalism.
Okay. James, coming back to you, what are your thoughts? Would you be open to the premise of something better, or are you just overall happy with what we have? Like, is it in any points of contention? Because I know I originally said, is there something that you think that could be better, or do you think what we have is what we should have?
I would be in favor of like some more commodities within prison, some more expectation of privacy, definitely better representation for those who can afford it. But I'm not in favor of abolishing the system. I don't think it's realistic in our society. Also, can I just ask you a quick question? I heard you say revolution and like addressing capitalism. Out of curiosity, are you communist or in favor of it?
Yeah.
You are?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Why not live in a communist country then?
James, I would love to have this conversation with you. Genuinely, really would. But that's not what we're doing on late nights.
It's not.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you are welcome to follow me. I promise you, the spaces that I frequent, we'd be happy to have that discussion with you a different time.
I think I follow you.
There are a bunch of communists that would love to have that overall debate with you. But I do have a better question for you, James. Understanding what the actual point that you think prison should be for, right? Reform and integrating people back into society. there seems to be a failure when it comes to that reintegration portion. So can you help me understand, would you not want to address, like, at the very least, the lack of fulfillment with the function that the prison supposedly is supposed to provide, like the rehabilitation and integrating people back into society?
Well, it depends what crime they committed.
Okay, so you want to rehabilitate people just based off of whether their crime is acceptable to you or not?
Well, whether the severity of the crime. I don't think, like selling. How do I say this for TikTok terms? I can assume
just say the first letter in drug. That's fine.
Yeah, selling like W, or you know what I'm saying?
M drug,
like
yeah.
when you're young or something.
Mhm.
I think that would be a different moral equivalence than like schmurder or something.
Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Can I ask
Al?
your question?
Yep.
Yeah, I don't want to drag it on with James, but I do want to at least say this for the audience to think about is I think we do want to put harm and what we consider crimes into perfect little categories, especially on some type of morality scale. But I think what's important to think about is the context behind these situations. So why was someone selling that? And what was the situation that put them in that in that position to need to do that? Or, you know, what was the context to the unaliving? Because what you'll find is there's a lot more to it than what you see, I don't know, on television, or what we think happens, which makes us feel unsafe. And so I would just encourage people to consider that context, because we tend to think that some people are just evil and they're just born that way and there's nothing we can do to change that. But rarely, if ever, is that the case.
Okay.
Well,
hold that thought just for a moment, James. Takata, I want to come back to you, and then I'm going to actually swap you out for now, but I want to give you the floor and space to get a few things off. But the question I have for you is kind of what they're talking about now. I mean, like, I think litigating morality is dangerous, but at the very least, I think there is a conversation to be had, whether it's complete abolishment or at the very least admitting that the prison system doesn't do what it's supposed to do. But what are your thoughts, right? I mean, is there any actual reform that can be had from this prison system?
So I think there possibly could be some reform if we actually, not wholeheartedly, I know I said earlier, completely abolish it, but if we can straighten it out more or less and, you know, pay a little bit better of a wage for them, because oftentimes the things they do inside the prisons is partially because they don't make a livable wage. I mean, they essentially survive off of the inadequate meals that they're prepping every day. They're also, you know, the commissary is not exactly affordable when they're making anywhere from 5 to 20 cents a day for hard labor that they're working for hours on end. I mean, they do those things like selling the rugs, for instance, to, you know, pay for the commissary items to essentially survive, because that's where they're actually getting, you know, most of their nutrition from, is the different things that they have for sale versus the stuff they make in the cafeteria is not exactly, you know, not morally, but healthy for them per se. There's a lot of stuff in that. So.
Okay, that's interesting. I also wanted to know, you originally said that you had something or a question or something that you wanted to bring up, and I'm assuming that it's surrounding this topic.
Yeah, I think it was more or less on both yours and Abolitionist Al's take on abolishing police, as I see in your background, where it's both police and prison. I wanted to see what your guys' take was with the abolishing police portion of it. I mean, I've had run-ins with the law before. I mean, mostly just speeding tickets and moving violations, but all of them were not even negative. I mean, as long as you treat the police with respect and aren't disrespectful to them, they're gonna essentially just project that back towards you. You treat people how you want to be treated, essentially.
Okay. I'll start first. And because I think my take will be a little bit more mild than Al's. But I'll start not only with the conversation around like the abolishment of police, but just the interaction of police. One of my first interactions that I ever had with the police was when I was, I want to say somewhere between 10 and 12, right? And this is outside of like school, right? Of course, there were police officers, there was DARE and all this other stuff. But I have a friend who I've known since we were that age. And funny enough, he watches my lives often. And we were one night in our neighborhood, we were out and there was a drive-by shooting, right? And we were literally outside and we ducked behind a tree, and that's the reason why we didn't get shot. But his god brother got shot and killed in the drive-by. And so it was a whole big thing. And what we ended up doing, him and his family had decided they wanted to do like a candlelight visual, right? Just, it was in the day, they had some candles, they wanted to like, you know, put the candles down where he had got shot and, you know, light the candles and, you know, just have a little thing for where he was murdered. And we, again, you know, we were somewhere between 10 and 12 years old. I don't remember the exact age, but I remember being outside with him as he is putting down these candles, and the police pull up and they're like, hey, you know, you can't, you can't put those there. And, you know, it's like, hey, this is, you know, it's for my brother, he got killed. You're just trying to, you know, remember him. And they, you know, start talking to these kids and just tell them basically F off. Right. And so my friend is then getting upset, but he's picking up the candles. And as he's picking up the candles, he's like, you know, talking trash. I can't believe that you would say this and da, like under his breath, not directly talking to the police officer, but under his breath, loud enough for the police to hear him. And while picking up the candles and getting ready to leave. And at this time he was, I want to say he was like maybe 5 foot, 100 pounds. I mean, he was like tiny, super tiny. And the police officer grabbed him, slammed him on the back of, on the hood of his car with his arm all the way up his back. Just like manhandling this 10 to 12-year-old black boy who was trying to put down these candles for his dead, you know, god brother. And the police just like was overwhelmingly aggressive, could have broke his arm. And if it wasn't for my mom, like seeing us and running out and screaming for the police to stop, and then other people within the neighborhood realizing it as well, like he could have literally harmed my friend at that time. And that was like one of the first interactions that I had with the police, right? And so I tell that story just to kind of reflect on the fact that depending on who you are and your circumstances, and people like to say, well, Santana, you like to bring up race all the time. I think it's very critical for us to understand how people have different lived experiences, and Black people often have these type of experiences with the police. So talking nice to the police does not always necessitate a positive interaction with the police for Black people. And with that, all that being said, I think that there needs to be massive reform within the police force. For me, I would say one, it would require higher education. I think there should be more strict regulations around who can be a police officer. I think that there needs to be a college degree. I think there needs to be an aspect of longer training, different not cognitive tests, but mental health tests and mental health checkups. I do think that their actual roles as far as what they're responsible for need to be clearly defined. I think that a large majority of the things that they respond to need to be eliminated, and we need to implement social workers that would be able to take on those type of tasks. I think those things are super important. I think that we need to have a complete nationwide database, so police can't, do something bad in one area and just pick up and move to another area and get another job. I think we need to greatly reform how much power the police union has. So it's so much to it. But that's my take. And sorry for blabbing for a long period of time. But Al, the floor is yours. What about you?
So first off, Santana, I want to say
no, hold on 1 second. I wanted to give Al the floor to be able to answer that question as well. Sorry, go ahead, Al.
My apologies.
No worries. I mean, I think I would just reply and say no. It's just not true. Saying that if you are nice or respect the police during an interaction, then you'll be okay. Because Santana just gave a great example and explanation for why that is. It's just not true. And I think the point that I like to drive home is that even if that were true, police, their job is literally to oppress. It doesn't matter what their intention is. It doesn't matter if they want to help their community, if they want to take care of their citizens, if they're polite. It doesn't matter, because their job literally requires them to oppress people. So even if what you were saying is true, it's not, but even if it was, they're still oppressive, and their job requires them to do that. And that's all I got.
All right, now the floor is yours.
For me or James, sorry.
For you. We were supposed to be answering your question. Floor is yours.
So first off, I want to say I am truly sorry about what happened to you at that age. I want to say, with what Al was saying, I can see where I'd be wrong in my statement that I made. I was just saying that subjectively, like, I haven't had any, but I'm not accounting for all police encounters. They definitely.
It sounds like you're walking away, and it's kind of hard to hear you.
Oh yeah, sorry. I'm cooking at the moment. I do get it. Police's jobs are to oppress, and in a lot of different communities all throughout the U.S., they definitely are harsher to quite a few people of different ethnicity groups. And in your case, with what happened to your friend's godbrother, that cop was completely out of line. I mean, that was a memorial to the memory of his godbrother, and the cop had no right doing that to him, nor telling you guys to not be able to place the candles. So I can openly admit where I am wrong with the statement I had made with treating them as you would want to be treated. I am wrong there. I was just more or less speaking for my personal encounters, but there are a lot of various scenarios, especially inside the prison systems, where they're extremely, extremely cruel to the people within the prison system and just citizens as a whole.
Yeah, no. I think that there's I think the biggest thing for people to remember, and I always try to keep this in mind, is that even though I talked about how before we have kind of these shared experiences throughout life that resonates with so many people, there are lived realities that a lot of people don't get to be a part of, and I think that's the key portion to that. I played a video last night that I think really struck a chord and has an understanding, but I will say that I think that that switches how a lot of people think. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and swap you out. Thank you so much for coming up. I really appreciate you hanging out here with us. Or Al, did you have something you want to say to him?
I just wanted to make a quick recommendation. I'm about as bad as Ari with the books, if not worse, but Miriam Kaba published We Do This Till We Free Us. And it's a collection of essays that she wrote over several years, and it focuses on police and prison abolition. You can see I've worn this sucker out. I actually have 2 copies, but I would highly recommend this because I think it's a really good base to understanding why, at the very minimum, police need reform, but ultimately need abolition. So it's on my Substack as well. But yeah, anything by Miriam Copper really, but definitely recommend that. That's all. I just wanted to give that resource.
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, could I
Definitely just get it and look into it. Sorry, James, if you want to chime in.
No, I'm going to come back to James in just a second. And James, I'm going to keep you up, but we're going to swap Takata. I'm sorry. Go ahead with the what you were saying.
So I do appreciate the material that you presented, Al. I definitely will look into it. And honestly, I can understand also your point you made earlier, Santana, with that the police officers need higher education, they need longer training hours, and all of that. I completely get it. And I can side with that. I definitely will dive more into it and read the material that Al had presented. I also want to thank you for your time and allowing me up here to have a conversation with you guys.
Absolutely. Thank you for coming up and joining the conversation. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the evening and enjoy dinner.
You guys too. And thank you. Making breakfast burritos for me and my wife.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you.
If
All
I
right.
also could say a quick thank you to Irene for the Cash App.
Yeah, W's in the chat for Irene.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of thank yous as well, W's in the chat for Ms. Torres, who sent a $2 donation saying, big believer in certain people getting the wall, but can anyone explain how placing someone behind bars and forcing them to do laundry or whatever it's gonna rehabilitate them for crimes? No, it's not just, no, it just makes, no, it just makes them want to, oh yeah, no, it just makes them want to commit their crimes again and not get caught. Stop it. Yeah, that's absolutely true. W's in chat for Damon for the $1 donation. Oh, you're all good. You're all good. W's in chat for Damon. If you figure it out, come back and you're more than welcome to get back up here. W's in the chat for the donos, guys. If anyone else would like to support the live, if you enjoy what we do here on late nights and you want to keep it going, please consider donating. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links and links are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. Everything's accepted. Anything's appreciated. If you guys make sure we're taking care of Al. Al is up here doing the hard work. So please, please, please make sure we're showing Al some love. Make sure we are gifting Al. Make sure we are following Al. But please hit the pay links that are in the poll in the top corner and show Al some love. With that being said, I just want to introduce the 3 new people to the panel really quickly. And then, James, I want to come back to you because I know you've been patient for a while. So I'm going to do the intros. And then, James, the floor will be yours. First, over on YouTube, B, how are you?
I'm good. And you?
Good, good, good. B, can you tell the people what is your general perspective of the prison system?
It's definitely slavery.
I'm sorry, say that again.
I'm sorry. It's definitely a form of slavery from my personal experiences.
Okay. All right.
That I've gone through.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Give me a moment here. Jacob, how are you?
Not bad, Santana. How's your night going, man?
It's going well. It's going well. Jacob, what is your personal perspective on the prison system?
Yeah, my perspective is exactly the same. I think it's 100%, definitionally a form of slavery. Especially the fact that people are getting paid literally no wages or just minimal wages. Not only that, I also agree that police in general are meant to help the wealthy, and specifically our justice system. That's why let's think if I said this before. But if Mr. E was a BIPOC man from New York who was homeless, he would have been persecuted within a week and in jail. It's just ridiculous. By the way, Mr. E, financier, I figured.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's ridiculous to me how much the rich get away. So I'm completely with y'all there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Give me a second. And last but not least, Philip, what's going on?
My man, how are you?
Let's fucking go, Jay Hops with the wolf. Philip, can you tell the people what is your perspective on the prison system? And I without giving away too much, I would also like to know what is your perspective on like the prison system in the U.S. versus outside of the U.S., if you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get you. Is it okay to come from this from a 50-50 sort of standpoint?
Yeah, I mean, this is just the
it an
opening
either
salvo
or?
to get where you fall before we get too far into it.
Okay, so just personally, I'm not comfortable basing my perspectives on this in terms of slavery, because it just veers everything in a direction that does not align with my viewpoints of what prison is and what it's used for.
Mm-hmm.
I've had family members in the States who have been incarcerated, so that there's personal there's personal, what would you say, relationships there, but there's also legal precedents that's been set. There have been experiments, meaning there have been especially during COVID, there were a few experiments run where certain states like California, New York, they did things where they let certain offenders out and then saw data and this and that. So what I would say is, I'm not going to say that it's slavery, but the modern form of it right now in the United States, I think it's awful. It's terrible. Okay. But I think that getting rid of it outright is also going to be not equally, but almost as deleterious to the states. So this is where I kind of am having trouble with it.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Give me a second. And before I come back to James, really quick, B, I just wanted to get an age check from you.
I'm 32.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. All right. I know we want to keep the conversation moving and kind of pick up with a couple of different things, but James, you've been waiting patiently, so I want to give you the floor to chime in on anything that you've heard, anything you wanted to say, and then Al, I'll give the floor back to you to follow up with him.
Yeah, I just wanted to make 2 points. First of all, I definitely agree there's issues with the recidivism rates, but whether or not that's intrinsically caused by labor within the prison systems is not a premise I would just accept. But second of all, as far as the story you gave with the police officer, I definitely think he was unjustified acting in that manner. But my question to you would be, with MAGAs who have had anecdotal poor experiences with undocumented immigrants, would you say that they're justified in holding a negative view of all of them?
I don't think that's important for the conversation, and
well, I think it's relevant to.
I don't, because again, James, please remember, this is not a debate. This is a panel discussion. And so if we were debating and we were trying to win a debate, then sure, it would be important. But for a discussion and seeking to understand and, learn from the information that's being shared, the point given as far as like not all experiences are the same, and the experiences that you have shape your reality, is the premise that I'm trying to lay out. So no, that it's not relevant, because this, again, is not a debate.
Well, again, I don't think that necessarily entails that it's a debate. I'm not trying to do a debate either. I'm asking questions that are relevant to see whether or not you would hold the same standard. I mean, that's all I'm trying to get at here. Yeah, I'm not trying to win a debate.
No. I mean, the point being is I would hold this standard in any late night conversation. Would I hold this the actual standard in a debate and sparring? Absolutely not. But for this conversation, yes. Again, no one is saying that show me evidence that this is the typical interaction with the police. That's not a thing. It was just me giving my shared experience based off of a question that someone had for me. So it's not relevant.
Right. Well, again, I would have to disagree with that, but that's fine.
Okay. Al?
I don't really have, I have plenty to say, but I don't, I mean, I addressed what he's saying. So I think maybe, James, you just need to come at a different time, or maybe catch me on another live and we can spar it out, because I think I understand what you're looking for, but that's just not what this is right now.
Sure. I mean, I can go again. I'm not trying to approach this from a perspective of debating. I just generally come off more direct than I intend to. But regardless, thank you guys for the conversation.
Let's do this, James. Yeah, can you help me understand? Is it no? We don't have to mute him. We're good. I'm gonna send your request to come off mute, James. Can you help me understand from the perspective that you're trying to get across? Why is me sharing a story from my lived reality something that causes you to pause with having this overall conversation when it comes to my opinion on police?
Well, I think it's a morally wrong thing to. I think it was a violation of your rights to do so. I'm just pointing out, I don't think it shapes the reality that the system is inherently bad because
who said anything about the system being inherently bad?
Well, I believe you were trying to share it just to show your personal experiences, but I mean,
right.
Regardless, it was relating back to the conversation.
Right, but what was the original
That's all I was
question?
getting at. The original question was about personal experiences with the police.
No, the original question was, what is your stance on abolishing the police? So if someone's original question is looking for a specific viewpoint, then why wouldn't my lived reality and the experiences that shape my viewpoint be valid?
I'm sorry, can you repeat that? I was reading the comments.
Sure. If the question was about my opinion on what it would look like to abolish the police, then why wouldn't my personal perspective that shaped my lived reality not be valid?
Well, I'm not saying it's not valid. I'm saying overall we should look at the statistics and how the system operates as a whole.
Right, but if the question wasn't for like recommendations for reforming the system as a collective or steps forward or anything like that, but the question was, what is my specific position and stance on abolishing the police? Why wouldn't my lived reality be the only thing that is needed to shape the opinion that I gave?
Why is it not the only thing relevant? Because other people have other anecdotal experiences, and if we just solely judge whether or not
the question wasn't
bad,
for other people, right? The question was specifically for me.
Right, but we're having a collective conversation of what we should do.
We weren't with that question. The question was directly for myself and Al.
Well, I thought this was reflecting of what we should do as our society.
Right. No, it wasn't. The question was directly for myself and Al. So if the question was directly for myself and Al in wanting to understand my perspective and what it would look like for me, then why wouldn't I give the things that shape my perspective?
Well, sure, you can give your opinion. I just don't think anecdotes is what should necessarily just shape our perspective.
Sure. So why is it that my perspective should be shaped based off of what you think it should be shaped off of?
I didn't say off of what I think. I should think it should be based off statistics.
Right.
I think those are more relevant.
Again, if you're seeking my opinion, specifically my opinion, not on an opinion from a group, but my opinion on a specific thing, where there's no formal proposition, there's no actual plan, there's no course of action, but just understanding as far as what I would like to do, then why wouldn't my lived reality be something that I would be able to use as deeming this is my perspective for wanting to do this thing?
Well, because I think we should take into account your position and whether or not it bears any weight, which I think it does somewhat.
Wait, but my position,
other things as well.
The only
for example,
the only person that position or hold any weight, it should be for me, right? Why should my position on my opinion hold weight from you?
Well, I'm saying we should both take each other's positions into account and see which one's more realistic. Like,
But
for
why?
example,
The question
considering
wasn't
that
for you though,
not
James.
not that you're a communist, but the other
But wait, James,
other
the
one, I'm
question
sorry, I
wasn't for
forgot your
you
name.
though.
But if
But James,
can I please finish speaking,
James, the
sir?
question wasn't for you though. I'm a little confused.
Sir, can I
The
please
point
finish my
being though,
statement?
James, and I'm just gonna
I've
stop
only gotten
because
to
I
get
was
out
just
about half my statement.
that's fine. I'm gonna stop because I was just reminded that this is not sparring, even though I let myself kind of slip for a second. The point being is, James, I would really like it if you drop the debate, because this is not a debate. And no matter if it's myself or anyone else who is sharing their lived reality in this panel discussion, their perspectives are valid. And like, no one has told you that your idea of the prison system is wrong because morals are subjective, or like you said morals multiple times and I haven't said that. The point being is like, please respect the boundaries of what we're doing here and continue to keep it within a conversation. This is not a debate. Please stop looking for a debate. So
Again, I really am not looking for debate. I'm not sure why you believe that, but again, it's implicit because it's moral philosophy that we're discussing. It's already implied.
We're not talking moral philosophy. No one is except you.
Wait, what subject is this? This is definitionally moral philosophy.
You're talking moral philosophy. We're not.
Yeah, because it's relating to morals and a subjective opinion.
Yes,
that's definitionally what it would be. I'm not looking to debate.
You are doing that, James. No one else here is doing that.
Yep. What is your topic?
The topic is abolishing police and prison, and we're talking about what that looks like substantively. That's understanding the reasoning for being an abolitionist, how that would actually affect society, how we can change things, and what a call to action is. This is not a philosophical debate. This is an actual outline to a call to action. Like the day 4 leads to a tangible call to action. This is not philosophy. We're not talking about this just to have a pie in the sky discussion. We're not talking about a hypothetical tray of zygotes. We're talking about like the lived reality of people, and then how we can actually start to put this into action. That's why Al is here. So no, this isn't philosophy.
Yeah, it again, what is moral philosophy? Could I ask you that?
No, you can't.
Okay, because if you gave the definition, it would leave.
Okay, now
again, sir, I don't think I've been able to.
That's fine. We're gonna move this forward.
Okay, have a good day, sir.
Al, I want to go ahead
thank you for letting me come
give
up.
the floor back to you. I apologize that we kind of took like a turn, but I will give you the floor to kind of reground us in the topic of the conversation.
Yeah, I think I'm really interested in, no offense, Jacob, but I think I'm really interested in Philip's take, because Philip kind of mentioned that they don't want to say that it's slavery, or even make that comparison. And I think I can understand that, but then you kind of mentioned that, Philip, you kind of mentioned that you have had people who have been incarcerated that were in your family. So I guess my question for you is, what kind of reform or what kind of change do you think we should see in our system, if not abolition?
That's a good question. I think with all things like this, it's extremely difficult for me. And again, I just had a cortisol spike listening to the previous talk, because this is supposed to be a conversation. I'm not really.
My wife had to remind me multiple times that we're not debating.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, I'm just I like to keep it chill. So, Al, can you please, and I apologize, what was the last part of that question? You said, what was the last part of your question?
Yeah, just looking for an idea of what you think should be changed or reformed about our current system, if not abolished.
Okay. I think with all things, you know, everything is on a spectrum. And so it's extremely hard for me to give one broad answer or one general answer saying, this is what I think would be a good idea for reform, because I don't know what that reform is for. And so, you know, I know in cases like this, we don't like to get overly anecdotal, but it's the only way that I know how to relate if I'm having a discussion, not a debate. Debate is usually based on facts, sources, court cases, things like this. In discussions, it's more based on lived experience. And so, you know, I might have friends and family where one friend might go to prison for the use of the M drug, where I don't see that as, I see no basis to go to prison for that. It makes absolutely no sense to me. And so that's where it gets, okay, so that's one example. And another example would be, you know, I had a friend, I mean, I'm talking like, you know, when you grow up and you have like these friends for years. I had a friend for 15 or 20 years, and I wake up one day and the guy has gone to prison for, I do not know how to say this cleanly, for doing bad things at home. To
DV?
No.
Touching kids?
Yes.
Got it.
Bad. And I didn't know that was going on. It was a shock. And so that sort of rehabilitation is a completely different type of approach that you would take to someone who, you know, maybe got caught with a bag of M drug. It's different. And I think my problem with prisons primarily is the profit motive. The reason I don't like to underpin this in terms of slavery is because particularly it puts my mindset in the form of chattel slavery or forced labor under conditions that you yourself never asked to be in, or you did absolutely nothing and you were stolen, taken, your dignity was taken away as a human being, your rights were taken away as a human being, and you were put in a position that you absolutely never asked to be in. That form of slavery to me is what my mind goes to when I hear that word. So when people say, you know, modern prisons are a form of slavery, I don't know that I agree with that specific word, because someone had to do something to put themselves in a position to be incarcerated. Now, do I think it's right? No, absolutely not. But do I think that calling it slavery is correct? No, I absolutely don't like that, because it starts to create a form of conflation where people are able to take arguments from one issue and sort of paint them into this other issue. So what would rehabilitation look like? Well, for example, in some cases for abusers of substances, one idea that was tossed about was, if you know for a fact that someone is incarcerated for using hard substances, you provide them with clean materials, clean needles, could you say? Or clean materials to prevent the spread of STDs, or to prevent the spread of communicable diseases, or to protect society further. That's one thing. In terms of rehabilitation, of course, you would need to have rehab centers, which would obviously need people to come in and work with those people and talk to them and educate them and go through these horrible 30, 60, 90-day programs of absolute awful withdrawal that completely cripple your body. And so that's different from someone who was just a casual, M-drug smoker, M-drug carrier who got caught in a grocery store. That level of rehab is different. And so it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. And that's what's sort of getting me a little bit stuck. And Santana, I get stuck on the semantics. I do. It's always these semantic issues with me. And the last part I would say about this, without just steamrolling with information, is the thing that makes me most uncomfortable about this whole thing is that 10% of most of these prisons are driven by private corporations. This is like a 90%. 90% is public. Public government. But that other 10% is private. These are like shareholders making millions and millions and millions and hundreds of millions of dollars off the backs of people who have been incarcerated. That makes me extremely uncomfortable. I don't like it. It's nastiness. It's nasty on so many levels. And so I don't want to bring moralism into this because that's a slippery slope. I don't care what your political philosophy is. This to me is more an issue of logistics, finances, and how this could happen in a way that understood that not all crimes are the same. And so let me I'll pause there because I don't want to overdo it,
That was great. I took notes. So first, I do want to. I wish we didn't have to, but I do want to try to stay away from the D-Rugs conversation because there's just too many kind of. We can get bananaed so easily. So
Yes.
What I want to say is I'm so happy to have that conversation offline, and this is to the chat too. I'm so happy to talk about it, write about it on Substack. I also will recommend this. I don't even know if you need to cover it, but let me see. I can't see mine. There you go. This text, Undoing D-Rugs, incredible text on harm reduction. So I don't know if you have to cover it or not.
No,
but,
I don't think so, but
yeah, I don't know. That might be dramatic. But anyway, this is
TikTok,
an
this is a
incredible
book.
text on it. Yeah, happy to talk about it. It's just such a it can get us in trouble here so quickly that I don't and we slip up. So that's that. But I agree with some of what you said there for the most part. I think I'll start at the end and move backwards. Is that you mentioned private prisons or for-profit prisons being roughly about 10% of what we see for prisons, and that's true. But the big topic of today actually is that all prisons are for profit. So even local, state-run prisons are still profiting. The first link in my link tree is for Worth Rises, and they have a huge database that shows companies and corporations who profit off of prisons or prison labor. That is an incredible resource. It includes a harm score where you can see how much harm the companies are doing in that way. And I think that's a great tool. But I think what's really important here is to recognize that it's more than 10%. It's 100% of prisons because in some way, shape, or form they're profiting, even if it's just because the people who are incarcerated are working in the kitchen, they're working to maintain the prison. Stuff like that. I think also I would say when I asked about reform, I kind of meant more what part of the system do you think is the biggest problem, which you did kind of mention with the private prisons and stuff. But the whole reason I asked that was just to get down to the bottom of it is that reforming the prison system won't address the root problem, which is going to be capitalism, material conditions, and poverty. And And I agree with you when you say that there's a lot of context, or there's a spectrum, and that every crime or all the harm is different, because that is really the point that I try to drive home with abolition, is that we keep trying to put people and this harm in boxes and then lock that away into a cell, and that's just not how we work or the world works. So yeah, I think I got it all in there. Yeah.
I'm sorry to interrupt that last few sentences. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
So your question essentially is, what part of the system itself would I be okay with just getting rid of entirely, or what about it makes me uncomfortable to the point where I say, okay, I'm convinced this is enough. Get rid of it. It's like we need to get rid of prison. Is this the question?
No, not necessarily. I mean, you did answer my question. My question is just kind of me looking to find out what you see as problematic in our current system and what you might think is reasonable or justified. And that way I can understand what points, I kind of need to talk about. Because a lot of people will say, like, well, my problem is private prisons. I don't think people should be profiting off of incarceration. And I think that's very valid and a great point. But there's so many other avenues in which our system fails us that I think that's why I asked, is so that I can kind of address those and see where the person stands.
Okay, so where I stand with this is that I believe that individuals should be punished for crimes that they commit that are inhumane. But again, that gets back to the moral issue. So my problem right now with the way that things are done, both pre-prison and post-prison, and also while people in there, number one is abuse. So instead of using the word slavery, I will use abuse. The way that prisoners are abused, the conditions, it's almost like another world. I don't think anyone who has ever been, nobody who has ever been non-adjacent to anyone who has ever gone to prison will ever understand the amount of abuse that these inmates go through. We're talking abuse from other inmates, abuse from the police that are in there, psychological abuse, the underhanded sort of, I guess you could say, bifurcation of races that happens where you'll have whites with whites and or white people with white people.
There we go, Phil.
And black people. But I caught it before you caught me. I got you. Black people with black people. It's almost, you know what it feels like? It feels like a prison is designed to encourage more violence. Now, whether or not the stats back that up, that's what it feels like. That the way that they've set it up is that all it does is just encourage things to get worse. That bothers me greatly. It makes me want the whole thing to be torn down. Absolutely. That's where I land on your point of prisons need to be abolished. These places are nasty, dirty, gross in every sense of the word. Logistically, morally, it's just a bad place to be. It's not good.
Can I ask you a question?
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I don't want to get too far from it.
And Al, I do want to make sure we wrap the other people in on the panel into the conversation as well. But no, I'm letting you know to wrap them in as well. I'm gonna sit back and let you drive, but I wanted to make sure that we don't forget about them.
Okay, yeah, I think Philip is just kind of moving through a really cool progression.
No.
Happens.
Whenever you think it's good.
Okay. So my question, Philip, because you started by saying that you do think that, some people should be punished for a crime they commit or the harm that they commit. But then you moved into saying how you recognize that prisons are criminogenic, which they are, which basically means they produce crime and harm. So they don't actually help, and the abuse that occurs. And so you recognize all of these things. So my question is, what do you think punishment should be? If you think that people deserve punishment, is that punishment just like being separated from the society and community and in a cell by themselves? Or do you think that maybe punishment is not the answer and maybe accountability would be a better angle?
I think that is where we land. I think that's where I would be able to, two things can be true at once. One is where you think accountability and punishment, let's say accountability. I need to preface this by saying that English is not my strong point. I've got a bit of a dual language household. So accountability, I think if you were to use that word, I would say yes. Okay, that's absolutely you're on point there. Whether someone wants to say accountability, punishment, whatever, some form of recompense for what they have done. That part to me is very, very, very important. And so I don't know what that looks like, but I would be very, very uncomfortable with someone doing something really, really bad and having no form of accountability for it.
And I think that's what maybe the confusion was, or not confusion, but where I was trying to drive you to. And maybe you were just using punishment and accountability synonymously, and I don't think that they are. I think accountability is what you're searching for, as well as what we should be searching for. So yeah, I think you're on more of our page than it seemed like at first, but. I don't know if we need to introduce Dawn.
Santana, I'm gonna hop out, but I want to give you just something really quickly.
Yeah.
Because you had asked me at the beginning of this about, and sorry, Al, I don't like it when people interrupt me. I've done that to you twice now. Just a really quick thing here, because you asked me what does it look like in other places. Mm-hmm. Much, 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 much worse. I mean, we're talking, 3 to 15 years of authoritarian state imprisonment in conditions that are just horrible. So the states is better, but it's the best out of
the worst.
It's the best out of the worst.
Yeah.
So it's bad. It's not good. So just put it that way. I'm not going to hold you guys up on this stuff longer. Look, this is a discussion, so I don't like to make it super debate. Al, you are incredible. The work that you do, the way that you phrase your questions, the education that you've provided. I want to say thank you. I want to specifically say thank you for the book that you just gave. And also, quite frankly, the way that you handle ideas that you don't necessarily agree with. I appreciate that. I really do. And I'll be here listening. I'm here, Santana. You're my boy. You're my man.
Likewise.
You got it.
I appreciate you. I appreciate you. Thank you for coming up.
Thank you so much for the kind words. It really means a lot.
Yeah, cheers.
All right. I think B, for some reason, B is dropping in and out. So B, if you do come back, we'll get you back in here. Really quick, W's in chat for Phoenix Eyes for the $5 donation. Sent to the caller. This is earlier for James. I think the association made in American media has a part to play. Think of your prison drama, cops and such. Yeah, I agree. Like, I think that was a big thing. Also, W's in the chat for Lisa for the $3 donation, saying thank you for keeping us informed. Thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate the heck out of you. W's in chat for the donos. Guys, if anyone else like to support the live, you can do so. Cash App, PayPal, Venmo. Pay links and links are in the bio. Santana Speaks for You. Santana Speaks for You is the best way to support the live. If you're over on YouTube, you can send a super chat. I will read that out. But guys, please, please, please make sure we're taking care of Al. Please make sure we're taking care of Al. Abolitionist Al is helping. Abolitionist Al is helping lead this actual topic of conversation. Yes, give Al a follow. Yes, send Al some gifts, but please hit Al's pay links. The pay links are in the poll in the bio, and Al is not only raising money for a great cause, but someone whose time, energy, and effort should be rewarded. So please make sure we're hitting those pay links and showing Al some love. Let's introduce the two new people on the panel, and then we'll wrap everyone into the conversation. Don, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
Good. Don, what is your overall perspective on the prison system?
It definitely needs reform. Absolutely. There's so many issues with the prison system right now. It is totally failed. There is no reform available. There's no how to say it? There's no reform available. There's no way to improve the people that are there. So when you go to jail, there's nothing.
Okay.
You're slaves. You know, I agree with that part. There's nothing for you. I think a lot of
hold on a second. I don't want to go too far, Don. I just want to do the quick introductions, but I'm going to come right back to you. Okay.
Okay.
All right. And Modern Warrior, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Modern Warrior, what is your overall perspective on the prison system?
I think prison is very hard on a lot of people. I think it needs to be reformed, especially for certain crimes.
Okay.
But I mean, there are crimes that I don't think people should be set back on the street for.
Okay. Perfect. Give me just a second. Also, I want to catch these really quick because I just noticed I wasn't sorry, Twitch. I didn't see the gifts. W's in chat for Land Rose for the 5 subs that was sent over on Twitch. W's in chat for Lotus for the 100 bits that was sent. W's in the chat for the One Mighty Pen who sent out 10 subs. Holy smokes. W's in chat for W's in the chat for Land Rose who sent 200 bits. W's in the chat for Weekend in the Country who used their Amazon Prime membership to subscribe. W's in chat for W's in the chat for Land Rose who sent 5 membership subscriptions. W's in chat for One Mighty Pen who sent 5 membership subscriptions. W's in chat for Land Rose who sent 1,300 bits. Holy smokes. W's in the chat for Land Rose who sent 3,000 bits. What in the world? W's in chat for Land Rose who sent 5 Twitch subs. W's in chat for One Mighty Pen who sent 100 bits with the Clover. W's in the chat for One Mighty Pen who sent 5 community subs. Land Rose sent 5 Twitch subs. Mander sent 100 bits, and we are all caught up. Oh, W's in chat for Reaper for the 130 stream streak. W's in chat for all the people over on Twitch. Sorry, I wanted to make sure I caught up on that. All right, Al, floor is yours. I would love to. We got B back over on YouTube. I would love to get B in on the conversation, and then of course Jacob has been waiting for a while. But which direction do you want to take this?
I think, I do want to say, I think, Don, the word that you might have been looking for was rehabilitation, or instead of reform. At least that's the vibe that I got. And I think that's a very valid point, is that there's little rehabilitation to be done in prison. But what I would just say to that is maybe broaden out your idea of broaden your idea of rehabilitation, because if most crime or harm is driven from poverty, what kind of rehabilitation can we do to a person who comes from that background, right? And what I mean by that is, like, until we address material needs, until we address poverty, until we address capitalism, all those things, rehabilitation can't really be done, because even if we release someone from prison back to their community, it's kind of the same vicious cycle. And then I can't read the name, but the very top guest, Modern. I think you make a valid point, and I think something that I've mentioned and talked about yesterday was crime versus harm. Like, what we consider to be crime and what we understand as harm are two different things, and they are not synonymous, and sometimes they overlap and sometimes they don't. And I think that's really important. I think maybe we can just check in with Jacob and see if he kind of wants to talk about any of the topics that we've mentioned.
Well, let's
then.
hit B first and then Jacob.
Oh, you got B. Yeah. Go
ahead. B, are you there?
Oh, yep, I'm here. So sorry.
All right. Really quick before I do that, massive W's in the chat, massive freaking W's in the chat for Philip, who sent a $500 donation to said, for you and Al, amazing topic. Thank you for showing me so much grace on the panel. W's in the chat for Philip for that $500 donation. I will absolutely be sending half of that to Al. W's in the chat for Philip. Holy smokes. Thank you, Philip.
Thank you so much, Philip. That is incredible.
That is crazy.
And so helpful. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, guys. Million W's in the chat for Philip. I do apologize. The floor is yours. Is there, what do you want to, which direction do you want to go? I'm sorry, it threw me off. Which direction do you want to go with the topic?
Can I talk about, so I had an ex in prison in Iowa who was being paid, I think was 20, it's about the wages in prison I'm basically getting at. The way that I look at it, when you're basically working for I'm classing it as a slave wage, because I think he was getting paid 20 cents per hour, but also having to pay 70% of his earnings to child support while in prison, which it was court ordered, so I don't know if that's like the general consensus of people who are in prison who have kids outside. But he had to pay 70% of his income from that 20 cents per hour towards his child's parents, and I think there was his child's mom, which I think there was 3 of them. So sorry, I'm nervous.
You're doing good. Keep going. You got it.
The way that I'm looking at it, never mind the whole system itself is basically slavery, but especially the wages part. Because the people on the outside world, 99% of that I know, don't get forced to pay the child support. But the people in prison are forced with no choice.
Al, do you want to chime in to the fact? And I think that that's a great call out, right? Even though you were put into the system where you are being quote unquote punished or held accountable or rehabilitating or whatever the case may be, that doesn't stop the actual responsibilities that you have in society. And I think the greater point that it makes is that even when you get past this portion of quote unquote rehabilitation, you're required to be reintegrated into society, and you're even more behind once you get back to that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Go ahead, Al.
Yeah, no, this is a really great point that I think people do not recognize, or not even recognize, but they just don't know happens. But a lot of times when people are working in prison, they still have to pay a hefty amount of that to either restitution or sometimes court fees like that, or child support, various things like that. And so even if, you know, they're making, I don't know, 20 cents or 50 cents an hour, they still have to pay out a good portion of that money. And then what does that leave them inside? Because a lot of things they have to get from commissary, or they're not able to call their loved ones. So like in the case that B mentioned, you know, maybe they don't have money at that point to pay for a phone call or a video call, or even to send a letter. So like, what good is that child support truly doing if there's not a person attached to that? You know, obviously financial is helpful for children, but if we abandon the relationship and remove that person from that relationship in society, then we're ultimately doing more harm than good. So that is kind of a long drawn out answer, but I think it's important to kind of watch how these things trickle down, because the collateral consequences of imprisonment, arrest, jail, all of these things are huge. They're really big. So yeah, that's a great point.
Jacob, what about you? What are your thoughts on that? Or did you want to speak on that, or did you have something else that you wanted to bring up?
I did. I didn't have anything to speak on that. There was something that I wanted to bring up, but I've completely lost it. It'll probably like come back to me in like a minute or so. Yeah, I mean, I'm in agreement. You know, I don't really have any like major opposition or I guess like anything to kind of to bring up there. I'm on board.
Okay.
If it comes back to me, I'll let you know though.
Okay. In that case, Don, anything that you wanted to add to that, or anything other specific? I know I kind of cut you off earlier, and you were kind of going in a certain direction. Did you want to speak on what was just said, or did you want to finish up what you're speaking on earlier?
Both, actually. I do agree that a lot of times when they're in prison, they cannot keep up with child support. I mean, that's just illogical. I mean, that's ridiculous that they should even have to do so, because obviously they don't make the money, they don't make the income. It's preposterous. The whole system is broke down. They don't make the money. They don't. So you get out of prison and you are given a bill, and that bill you have to pay when you get out. So there's no reform. You're in debt. And I'm wondering, is it better, and I'm asking, is it better that prisons are privately owned, or would it be better if they're state owned? And this is something I've been wondering about for quite a while. What do you guys think? Would it be better if they're state owned or private?
I think it would be better if they just weren't, but Al?
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm with Santana. I think we just shouldn't have them. But if forced to pick, I think obviously state prisons would be better.
And I agree.
But if anyone clips me saying that, you're gonna have a bad day.
Right now,
okay.
Right now,
is Sean still here? Like Sean,
you know,
was
and
watching,
she would.
so,
you know,
yeah.
she'll bring it up. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think if we had to do that, but again, I'll reference my Substack, because I put a little note about this on my Substack for today, is that even if we, and look, there she is. I knew she was here. Even if we removed all private prisons from the United States, one, that doesn't stop any people's sentences from being served. Like that doesn't. Right. They're not like, oh, you're in this private prison, we're closing this private prison, go home. They're just moving them to another prison. And another point, and I know we're starting to come to an end here, but another big point is that private prisons honestly are mostly just immigration detention centers now.
Exactly.
So they're just moving from one form of incarceration to another. And so I think that's why I push back on saying like end private prisons or close private prisons, is because it's just, that's not a solution for really anything that most of us want to achieve.
Exactly. I agree.
That's great. I'm going to be honest. I love how many people we have agreeing. This is a really scary topic for people. And so I know prisons is a little easier to cope with than abolishing police, but this is really cool to hear people like listening to these ideas and agreeing.
I think
it's
that
cool.
something that resonates with a lot of people is the issues with the prison system. I think, to your point, yeah, they struggle with the idea of like the police, because the police are the superheroes, the good guys, and all this other stuff. But the prison system, I think that there's been enough either people who have interacted with, friends, family members personally, who have gone through the prison system, and they understand like how there's no positive recourse from it, and they're willing to engage with that. But I do think the connective tissue is relating to, like, how do we get from A to B? So I think that's a good thing. But I think there's a huge thing for a lot of people that's trying to really get a better understanding and grip of all of it. But I don't want to leave Modern Warrior out. Modern Warrior, would you like to chime in on this as well, or do you want to actually bring up something else?
I just wanted to bring up what I came up here to talk about. Sorry, allergy season in Arkansas.
Understand.
Jacob, first of all, it's good to see you, bud. I don't think all prisons should be abolished. I mean, there are a lot of crimes that people shouldn't go to prison for. I mean, like, there's people who roll smoke and are in prison for years. That's not a crime worth being put in prison for. But if we abolish prisons, where are we going to put the people who do violent crimes?
I wish we would have made a bingo card, Al. Sorry, Modern Warrior. We've been waiting for someone with that question. I apologize. Go ahead and finish what you're saying.
I mean, because people who harm kids, and you know what I mean by harm, rapists, murderers, all that, you can't abolish prison and just let them go. I mean, they shouldn't be allowed in society. I'm not happy with how the justice system treats how they let child abusers go right now. I think they should get life in prison. I don't think they should have a chance to come back to society. You hurt a child, you lose your place in society. That's the way I see it. Same goes with people who are serial murderers and who commit violent crimes on a daily basis. You gave up your chance at life. So you have to spend it inside that prison. You made that choice. No one else. Nobody else. Oh, sorry, I lost the train of thought. Nobody else made that choice for you. You made that choice.
Okay. Al?
Lot to unpack here, but I think this is also the reason we want a bingo card is because this is a very common take, and I think it's always the question of what about R-worders and schmurders, right? And I think it's a valid question. I think the answer, and you're not going to like it, is that we have to get to the root of these issues, like why these things occur. And we have to address that. And I know y'all are tired of hearing me say address poverty, but that's a big part of it. There's also, societal issues that we need to address. Ari was here yesterday talking about the patriarchy and how influential that is to people who are incarcerated and into the prison system. I literally wrote my thesis on it. And it's a really big deal. So that's the not pretty answer. I don't think that it's a sensitive topic, but I think the wall is not always a bad idea. But
I think it's a good idea.
Right. But that can't be the only solution to people like this, because that doesn't prevent it from happening in the future.
Can I say something right quick?
Yeah, sure.
I don't think you're actually getting the people I'm talking about. I'm talking about psychopaths who have no chance of reform. That is a mental illness. You can't reform from that. Sociopaths that have no emotions.
Yeah.
Pedos, no, you don't get to come back from society. In my opinion, you should be on death row. You hurt a child, your life ends. And anybody who thinks that they should get a chance at reform has lost their ever-loving mind. These people who hurt children don't get a chance back in society. Our justice system is already way too lenient on them. They should be they should be unalived.
So, do you know what I mean when I say the wall?
No, I don't.
Okay, that basically means unalived.
Hold on, I
right?
got you. Al, hold on. I was I was just about to help you out. Maybe this will help.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna make them face the wall.
I misunderstood. I apologize.
It's okay. No, it's okay. But I do want to reiterate, while I will advocate for this, it cannot be the only solution, because simply eliminating people who have already committed harm does not prevent future harm from happening.
Exactly.
Deterrence is not a thing.
Yeah,
Oh, I agree.
I think that the reason why I'm such a proponent for this is in the sense that I think it's twofold, right? I do think that we have to address those issues, those base issues, right? Those actual issues. And if we're properly addressing those issues and it's still happening, right? But we have to try to address those issues first. But, you know,
Again, I just want to say to you, I'm sorry I misunderstood what you meant. I didn't understand what the wall meant.
No, it's okay. It's okay, but
I will say this. I agree with you that it does start on a societal level. I mean, especially in poverty-stricken areas. I think a lot needs to be changed in our country for people to actually, not want to go down those paths. And I blame our government for that.
Well, hold tight, because Al was gonna get ready to finish and I cut Al off. I apologize, Al.
No worries. I like this conversation. I think one thing I really wanted to address was when you mentioned, I think you said psychopaths or sociopaths. But I think an important thing to think about there is, one, as Ari mentioned, most people with mental health issues are more likely to harm themselves than others.
Correct.
But also, we don't provide health care for our citizens. We actually make it really difficult to obtain health care, and that includes mental health care. And so when I say address poverty, that's included in that. We should be providing all around health care for our citizens. And if you want to talk about sociopaths, we can, but a lot of the things that the ideas that you have about sociopaths are probably I don't want to say incorrect because I'm really not trying to be offensive, but they're probably misled.
Also, I hate
I think
the
it's got a lot of
premise
research.
as far as like anyone trying to diagnose people, even from like any known situations. I'm such a proponent against that because like I think that people can make connections or correlations or deductions or whatever, but I feel really uncomfortable as far as categorizing anyone with, you know, a quote unquote mental health issue, especially, you know, not that I know of. No one up here is a trained doctor, and no one has seen like medical files and they have such an absolute to say, you know, this to this or this to this. I think that not only did Al echo what Ari said, as far as people with those mental health issues are more likely to harm themselves, but driving to the root of the issue is we need to address the issue that we have within our society with people first and seek to give help before sending them to the wall. I'm just saying that, you know, once we properly address all those things, then, you know, the wall is an option, but we got to fix the things first before we just line people up.
Okay, I want to mention this. Let's see. Hope I can say this. Have you heard of the serial K gene?
I'm not a medical professional. I wouldn't necessarily want to speak on that.
There's actually studies that have been done that people will say, take Jeffrey Dahmer, for example. Jeffrey Dahmer did not have a bad life. He did not grow up horribly. He wasn't abused or anything like that. He literally has a gene that made him want to do what he did.
Again, I want to pause for a second because again, not a medical professional, and from everything that I know, like there's no actual coding in your DNA that makes you a serial killer. I don't think that's
there are studies that's proven that.
Okay,
modern the study that's wrong. So Santana, I actually know a little bit about this. Could I maybe address it briefly?
Sure.
So modern, it's an oversimplification. What some studies said is that you can genetically inherit like a higher level of aggression. It's not a thing where like so for example, for me, I had anger issues growing up, right? That's something that I inherited from my father who had ADHD and anger issues growing up. It's not a single gene. It's not that it's like somebody can be born with certain genetic things that like give a predisposition, but there's no, like, you can't like, when somebody's born, you can't like immediately be like, hey, you have the gene. You can't, that's not how it works.
You know, Jacob,
wait, one second. Al, the floor is yours.
Sorry, I just want to squeeze this in there because, and Jacob is correct. There's not a single gene or what they call a serial unalive gene, right? But if you want to bring up Jeffrey Dahmer, let's talk about patriarchy. Let's talk about homophobia, and let's talk about how that was and is a huge driver for crimes committed by men, especially sexual crimes. That's a big piece of the puzzle that we're leaving out here.
So the patriarchy made Jeffrey Dahmer want to unalive people.
No.
I call BS on that. I mean, there has to be something really twisted in your mind.
But see, modern, this is the issue, right? I mean, you're saying that, but may I ask, what's your degree in?
I don't have a degree in anything.
Okay. How much have you studied? Like what peer review resources, what actual empirical data have you combed through to be able to like actually make this determination?
I can't name names, but I just see stuff online. That's what.
Right. So the point that I'm trying to get to though is that while you may have a feeling or a perspective or whatever the case may be, none of us are qualified to make those determinations and those statements. And the statements that you're making is ones that vilify, oversimplify, and overwhelmingly harm people that deal with mental health issues, where there's already a proclivity for people with mental health issues to be harmed, period. Not just harm themselves, but just to be harmed. And these things are used for, well, I'm just going to finish though. These things are used to harm them, right? And justification for harm. So we don't want to do that. And so while I understand that you may have a perspective that you want to speak on, I'm just going to say, like, we're not going to do that because none of us are trained professionals. And I think that would be irresponsible and dangerous for any of us to do that.
So, okay. First of all, I'm bipolar. I deal with mental, so I know what mental illness does.
I understand. There's a bunch of people that study with different mental health issues. I mean, I have ADHD, right? I mean, like, there's a ton of us that deal with that. But again, I don't feel comfortable with us making any type of proclamations about people, especially when none of us are doctors. None of us have the actual time researchers study to actually be able to say that these things are factual. I don't feel comfortable with that. And I would say, like, we're not going to do that.
But it is factual that what Jeffrey Dahmer was. I mean,
sure. What's your source?
Oh my God. Have you never even read anything about Jeffrey Dahmer?
What's your actual source that says that somehow he had a genetic disposition towards what he did?
No, I didn't say that. I'm saying he is a legit psychopath.
Well, okay. I want to try to recenter the conversation and bring it all the way back. And yep, I want to give the floor back to Al. I just want to one more time clearly set a boundary that we're not going to do that. We're not going to, like, I hear what you're saying, but trying to use Jeffrey Dahmer as the categorization that we should judge every person by and deem people to be quote unquote psychopaths or whatever the case may be, that's overwhelmingly harmful. And that's a simplification of the understanding of mental health issues. So Al, the floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't want to go past any of your boundaries, Santana, but I will say what you said is true. You won't find evidence that Jeffrey Dahmer was diagnosed as a psychopath or a sociopath, because that did not happen. And we are not qualified to do that. I think also what Santana mentioned is a really important point here, which is that this question of, like, what about the R-worders and what about the unalivers when we talk about abolishing prisons, is we're talking about a very small portion of our prison population. And how much of that could have been prevented if we addressed societal conditions or the environment that people are in. Material conditions. I'm going to say it again: poverty, capitalism, white supremacy. It all comes back down to that.
You just bring up white supremacy as a cause for people to do these violent crimes.
Yeah, it is.
It doesn't matter what race you are. If you commit these crimes, you don't get another chance at society. You commit these violent crimes.
That's not what we're saying.
But I think it's up to a psychiatrist to determine what their mind is at.
Okay, so you're telling me if a psychiatrist says this man has raped, 13 children, but he is rehabilitated, that he should be let out of prison.
So let's do this. Hold on one second. One second. The host right here, me speaking. We're already over time. We were getting to the end, and now this has kind of pushed us in a different direction. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say B, Don, Jacob, thank you three so much for coming up. I know you guys didn't get a lot of time. But we will be back tomorrow evening. If you guys want to rejoin and continue down the dialogue train that you guys were going on, you are more than welcome to. But for you three, I'm going to go ahead and drop you three down, okay?
Yeah, thank you for having me up, Santana. See you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So what I want to do is I don't want to just, like, stop where we are, because I think this is important to like have more of an understanding, and I do want to absolutely kind of put a bow on this, but I think it's, I think the problem that you're struggling with, and tell me if I'm wrong, Modern Warrior, the issue that you are facing is that you understand the heinous acts that certain people have engaged in, and the heinous act is where you are drawing the line and saying, well, if this person does this, then this is the issue. Is that an accurate statement of what you're feeling or thinking?
Yes.
Okay. So the issue that we keep trying to get across and trying to really drive home is, while we understand the heinous actions that you are pointing to, the issue comes into pointing to the symptoms and not the actual root cause, right? And while we can agree that the symptoms are heinous, if we don't address the root cause of said symptoms, then the symptoms will continue to exist. And so when you talk about the actual structures throughout our society, the things that elevate, protect, and continue to create people that engage in those actual things, if we don't address those things, then they're just going to keep popping up. And I think that's at the heart of what we're trying to say. Al, am I off base, or what would you say?
No, you're not off base. I mean, this reaction and this argument comes from a place of emotion, and I think that's valid, especially when we talk about children. This is a very common reaction, but what we have to really consider is what you're advocating for. Is that a solution? Is that going to prevent these acts from happening again? Or is it just going to make you feel better because you're standing on some moral high ground, you think? I want to prevent harm. I don't want people to be harmed anymore.
I never said it would stop, other things from happening. First of all, I want to respond to someone in the chat, because I see them say,
please,
yes.
Please don't. I want you to focus up here with us, because like I said, we're already over time, but I didn't want to just cut you off. I wanted to be able to finish this thought process with you, but keep it up here to me and Al, please.
But when it comes to, hold on, I'm losing my focus. If y'all don't want me to stop, if you want me to stop talking, I will, chat, but quit tagging me in this stuff.
Please don't focus on the chat, and also saying that it's just going to make them tag you more. Like, just focus on us.
Anyways, I don't care what your upbringing is. When it comes to children, there is no reason for any of that to happen. You're a grown adult. You know better. You know better, and you shouldn't do this. Okay? And I'm saying this as a person with mental illness. But if you do this, you don't get your life back. Okay? And there's nothing, and you can say, change society, do this and stuff. This has been happening since the beginning of time. Stuff like this. It's never going to change, because there's a lot of people out there who inherit.
No, I'm sorry, Santana. I'm even going to interrupt him, because I think this is pretty harmful, actually.
And it's not only harmful; it's circular, and we've already stop doing that.
Yeah, and it's harmful. I think there's a lot of misinformation.
I want pedophiles to pay for what.
Excuse me. Hey, I'm not sure who you think you're yelling at, but don't do that again. You're an adult. Please keep it in the rails. Raising your voice is unacceptable. No one's yelling at you. I apologize, Al. Go ahead.
No worries. I mean, I think the sentence that was just about to come out of his mouth is telling that he's not listening to what we're saying, because he says we just want these people to roam around, and we've said several times that's not it. again, this is very emotional and it's not solution driven. And if you're unwilling to address that, then there's not a whole lot that I can say. But I do not want misinformation or harmful rhetoric, because what I want to do is prevent harm, whether that's these acts and behaviors happening or from people, for instance, in the chat who are survivors, or people on the panel who are survivors, who have to hear you advocate for what you think is justice when it's just making you feel better and it's not stopping the cycle of harm. So
I want to pass it to Sean, and then I want to pass it to Ari.
I'm just going to pass it right back to Al and ask, what were you saying about,
He left.
Okay. I'm just going to pass it back to Al and ask what you were saying earlier about Dahmer and patriarchy and homophobia.
yeah, I mean, I think ignoring that is ignoring a large part of who Jeffrey Dahmer was, and a large part of how the patriarchy and toxic masculinity is harmful. I mean, he was closeted for most of his life, and dealt with the homophobia and the stigma from society as well as his parents. So to say, like, to use an example of saying like he had an okay home life, he didn't, because he couldn't even be who he was. And it's frustrating because it's just such a small example of someone. But Ari's going to tell you the way that toxic masculinity and patriarchy influence crime, and especially violent crime, is huge. So you can't ignore that factor.
Ari?
Yeah. To that point, exactly. It's all like we were talking about this yesterday, gender performance, right? But as soon as I said gender performance, he was going to crash out anyway, right? When I started saying, if I would have said the word, it's all men, right? He would have crashed out and left. He crashed out with the word white supremacy. And that was very valid for Al to bring up, because it is all white supremacy, right? White supremacist structures, capitalism, gender performance are allowed for these things to continue to persist. And we have the research, right? He was purely arguing, and he was debating it. He was trying to debate it. He was arguing from a space of emotion, but the research doesn't lie. The history doesn't lie, right? We understand that rape culture is a culture centering the dominance of masculinity, right? These are acts of domination. This is why we see rape of men go up in prison systems, amongst other men, sexual violence, trigger warning in the chat, right? And we see that overwhelmingly happen on the femme-presenting people. So in prisons, it goes up because of the absence of femme-presenting people, and they must display their dominance amongst other men, right? So this gender performance is why, again, prison abolition has to go hand in hand with abolition of gender. Those things must coexist if we want true liberation of all marginalized identities.
And I just want to stack on top of that his performance on this panel, so this moral high ground that he wants to take for children, is also a performance of masculinity. I would argue toxic. We can talk about that another day, but you understand what I'm saying, Ari? Like this, like anyone who harms children should get, unaliving, when he is exactly the person who does the most of that abuse.
Absolutely, Al.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's very much a performance. So,
yeah. His specific masculine was benevolent misogyny. So trying to act like you're the hero and you should be grateful for me. I'm trying to solve a societal woe, guys. I'm trying to save the children. When what he was doing actually allows for the harm of children to continue to persist, right? This is why I argue no good man can exist, right? Because even this idea of the good man still benefits off a rape culture. All he has to do is say, hey guys, I didn't do the raping, right? It wasn't me. While not deconstructing the structure that actually allows for rape to continue to happen, and then we still continue to see the cycle. So he's actively benefiting from that cycle, does not care to deconstruct it, did not want to listen to Al, and everything Al was saying was absolutely beautifully put. And so it's super, this is just all patriarchy. He was puffing his chest. He was doing the man thing. W Al in the chat though.
W's in the chat for Philip. I know that's right. Let's fucking or freaking go. A TikTok universe for Al. Let's go.
That's incredible. Philip, I was tearing up earlier. I did want to. Is it okay if I say some thank yous?
Yeah, floor's yours.
Wrap it up. Okay. Obviously, thank you, Philip. It's incredible, and also the conversation we had was great. I really hope I do get to chat with you again because I think that was wonderful. But thank you so much. I'll thank Irene again. And then there was an anonymous donation of $10 and Miss Torres for $5. So thank you, everyone, and thank you for all the gifts. Sean will tell you this is one of my favorite things to do is just have these conversations and talk about this with people and spread the word about change that we need. So just having this platform to talk on is really cool, and I appreciate everyone. So thank you very much.
No, absolutely. I know we are over time, but I want to give the floor just for a few moments. Sean, is there something that you wanted to add?
Yeah, I think I don't want to hold back the conversation at all when it comes to especially talking about the necessity of the abolition of other hierarchical and oppressive paradigms when it comes to the abolition of police and prisons. Seeing as how police and prisons are how these paradigms are upheld. I think like one huge thing that we talked about yesterday, well, at least that I touched on yesterday, was the fervor that people have. And we saw a display of it where someone was like, I don't know how any of this stuff works, but I feel really, really strongly about it. And everyone needs to listen to me about it. And it's wild to me because like you're talking to people, like Al has a degree in this, and Al has the hard degree in this. No pause, no lube.
Okay.
That's what it is. It's you got the hard degree in it. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, like that degree.
All I'm saying is,
I mean, getting it must have been a long, hard process, you know. That's what I'm saying. And not everyone can come to the same conclusion, but you know, at least we can ride that ride as hard as we can until we can try to figure out.
That's what I'm saying. Thank you.
Santana, I'm upset you're encouraging her.
What do you mean?
I've been trying to ride this ride for a little while now.
Yeah, what is she talking about?
And now y'all are gaslighting me. And now y'all are gaslighting.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
What do you mean? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you mean.
I don't know what's happening.
All I'm saying is that you got the hard degree. You've been riding
this ride for a while.
What do you mean? Yeah.
Okay.
I've been riding the ride, and it's been a bumpy ride. I ain't gonna hold you.
Ma'am, if you don't get off this panel right now.
I ain't gonna hold you. What? Chat, what am I doing, chat? Sorry.
And Edith too. Don't make it weird.
It's crazy
Thank
work.
You, Sam. They are gaslighting me. Thank you.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. She knows what she's doing.
I don't. What am I doing? You know what? Don't worry about it.
You seem pretty innocent to me, Sean.
Oh, please.
Thank you, Santana. See,
I always got your back.
Thank you. Thank you.
What?
Hey, that's what's up. That's what's up. Santana always got my back. No pause.
Yeah, I'm calling Jeff about the sun as soon as we hang
no
up.
pause. Anyway,
really quick. Speaking of Jeff, I owe you something, Sean. Jeff texted me. I forgot this.
What?
I owe you something. Don't worry about it. Just you'll see. I'm gonna find some videos.
Oh, okay. But for real, like if I'm not joking, I'm actually not joking about the degree though. Al has like is absolutely amazing and has a degree in this particular and writes theses on this particular subject.
I wrote
and
one.
So to me,
I wrote
like,
one, John, just one thesis.
Okay, hold on. How many? Let me ask this.
No,
When you wrote, nah, you didn't open it up. You didn't open it up. No pause. How many? When you wrote the thesis,
the thesis size.
How the thesis.
Yep.
The thesex. That's
Boom.
what it. That's what it is.
Thesex.
That's the thesex is the plural.
Mm-hmm.
When you wrote the thesex on this, or when you wrote the one thesi
say what you need to
on
say.
this particular. I'm gonna stop playing. 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 Well, when you wrote the one, you wrote more than one. You wrote one and then you wrote another one. You went back and wrote a totally different one.
That doesn't count.
Oh my God. Chat. Anyway.
Only one of them got me a master's degree. I only turned one of them in. Okay.
But you wrote two.
This doesn't matter. Okay. I do have a degree or two or three, and that's fine.
But do you have a garden?
A community garden?
Boom. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay.
Let me get my certificate.
Thank you, everyone. Everyone in the chat say technically too, please. Mensa certificate is crazy right now.
Look, Teddy got it.
Now you playing.
I got it right here. Right here.
Now you playing.
But have you ever had a New York Times article written about you?
Well,
that goes. Hey, that joke goes two ways.
Stop it. Every time you come up here at the end of late nights, like it's just.
I know.
Get it together,
jokes,
Sean. This is on you.
Listen, I'm gonna get it together for real. But the whole thing is that we do try and make all this stuff entertaining. Al really does have a degree in this subject. Al really is smart, and Al really does like. Oh my God, the stuff that Al talks about, just like on the phone about this stuff. I'm like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't know what the fuck Al's talking about. I'll be like about the fucking carceral system or the.
Would you? Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I'm leaving. This is you. You know how to say carceral.
The carceral system, and I'd be like, you eating cereal in the car? I don't know, but yeah,
I'm smart. I have a big brain. We got it.
That's what it is.
We got it.
But when people come up, like I said it. This is an emotional topic for people. And so, like, a lot of the things we will see people make stuff up on the spot. Serial killer gene? Really? That is not a real thing, man. That is not a real thing. And it's driven by the fervor. It's driven by the idea of like, I feel really strongly about this thing. And so I want to be right about it. And instead of doing the research, or just even asking questions about, or to someone who you would know who has more knowledge on these subjects than you just kind of go to the extremes because, like, especially within our in the imperial core in the United States, our sociological paradigm, that's what's seen as correct. What's seen as correct is not like reading and learning. What seems as correct is confidence. This is why you see people who are able to like run for office and know absolutely nothing. So long as they say something with confidence, people will just up and believe it. Like when someone says they're eating the cats and dogs, and that's just not true. There is literally no evidence of this. Or that people from foreign lands are taking over daycares in a certain area of the country, and there's literally no evidence of this. Or undocumented immigrants commit more crime, and there's literally no evidence of this. They're just making it up because someone said it with some confidence, and it's being repeated, and we are susceptible to things that are repeated and said with confidence. Instead of,
I do want to say too, it's also a comfort thing because it really does. If you don't think about it a lot, it makes you feel better to think, well, that person had a gene that made them do something that I think is so horrific. It's easier to think that than to think about how white supremacy and the patriarchy, and I mean, like, you have to read a book or two to understand that. And so it's just much easier to say, well, you were born with this gene and that made you do these horrific things.
Yep.
It's comfort.
Yep. Okay. I want to, we got to wrap this up because we got to get out of here. And I don't know what happened. Someone muted Chelsea in the comment. I don't know what happened or how Chelsea got muted. Justice for Chelsea. Anyway, Ari, I wanted to give you the floor, but while I did, I want to do this because, dang it, hold on. There we go. I know people have been saying like, hey, does Ari have a YouTube? Does Ari have a YouTube? Ari does have a YouTube. And so while Ari speaks, I wanted to go ahead and put Ari's YouTube up here. And, oh, wait, hold on. That's not the right one. Sorry, 1 second. That's not right. Why is it? Hold on. Okay. Stop being stupid. Let's do this. Sorry. Okay. There we go. There's Ari's YouTube. For all the people who are like, what's Ari's YouTube? What's Ari's YouTube? This is Ari's YouTube. I also want to call out the fact that as of right now, Ari has only 3 subscribers, and I am one of those 3. So there's at least 604 people watching over on TikTok. There's 557 people watching on YouTube. There's 18 people on Twitch. Everyone needs to go follow Ari's YouTube. Get those numbers up on YouTube. Ari, floor is yours.
Guys, I'm still trying to figure out YouTube. Once I get there, I'm gonna be a menace to society because that's where all the incels are. But thank you for posting that, Santana. Yeah, guys, I run a book club. That's about it. When we talk about books, we talk about issues like this. We actually just read a book and had book club this Saturday on a book called Why Women Have Better Sex Under Socialism. And so it just talks about how the book title says it all. But yeah, I run a book club. I go live every night. Actually, I would love to talk to that man that was just up here if he would come find me. Come find me. I will definitely handle that ass. No pause. I said what I said.
Jesus.
Sorry. Sorry, Mama John. So yeah, that's just me. W Al in the chat. This is a really cool topic. And also, Al, I'm waiting on that thesis. I want to hear it. I'd love to read it. But yeah, thank you for having me up.
Absolutely. Ari, Sean, thank you both. I appreciate both of you. Not Petty and Chelsea trying to work together to like cancel me in the comments. I don't know what that's about, but whatever. Anyway, Al, how do you think night 2 went? I mean, besides going off the rails.
I don't even think it went off the rails that much because I think that some of those are really great examples. I really wanted to hit with, because James, it was so early and he was just like Philbroing that I didn't want to go into the.
I didn't want to get rid of him because I wanted to actually be able to like stress test his thought process, but he wanted to debate so bad.
Yeah, I didn't think that was the best opportunity, but the last guy, I mean, was just the perfect, for me, the perfect example of that question. What about the R-worders and unalivers? Yeah. And so I really appreciate that. But we also had like just a great combination of guests. I mean, all over the board, all over that, and then people were reasonable for the most part. And I think that's a really cool thing to have in this conversation because, again, it's a very scary topic, understandably, and I think that's valid. But people were really listening to what we were saying and having conversations, and I love that so much. So I think it went really well. Yeah. Tell
the people what do we have left for this week?
Yeah, so tomorrow I think we're going to try to focus more on what it means to be an abolitionist. We kind of talked about that a lot over the course of the last 2 days, but really what it means to be an abolitionist for police and prisons. And then the last day we're going to do a call to action. I don't know if you want me to still keep that under wraps.
Just give them a little tease. That was it.
Yeah, so the call to action is just to focus on what's called non-reformist reforms. And those are reforms that we can do, things we can do for the current system to get us to abolition eventually. Things that don't just recreate the system that we're under. So I'm excited for that. That's a favorite topic too.
I am too. It's going to be a really good rest of the week. I'm excited about getting to what we have left. I'm happy that we were able to do what we were able to do. One last thing. So for the people that's looking for Ari's YouTube and they're like, I can't find it, make sure you put the @ symbol before you search. YouTube is finicky like that, but if you put the @ symbol, you can find it. It looks like Ari went from 3 to 23. That's I guess in a moment, kind of a lot, but yeah, she should have way more than 23. So at Ari for Education over on YouTube. That's how you find her, at Ari for Education. Make sure you put that @ symbol to search up. Anything that you want to leave the people with before we hit this outro?
No, I think that's good. We buttoned it up well.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Well, let's do the thing.
Yeah, this ain't your regular panel. Nah, we speak the truth. Late nights with Santana and Mama Jones watching. Better keep it clean. Let's go. Late nights choosing the convo. Everybody get a seat at the table. From the block to the books, we mindful. No screaming, just dreams in the Bible. One mic, one voice, we build bridges from the heart of the hood to the world's big issues. Politics, pay, different cultures. But the real ones listen before they rebuttal. Late nights with Santana. Yeah, Mama Jones watching, so keep it grown. Ain't about flexing, this a purpose zone. Santana hold it steady when it might get hot. But we ain't here to fight, we here to connect the dots. Yeah, late nights with Santana.
Hey, W's in the chat for you guys. This was night 2 of a 4-night discussion. So guys, if you missed your opportunity to join tonight, guess what? There's another one tomorrow. We will be back tomorrow with more Late Nights with Santana, night 3, and I am so excited about it. But we will also be back in the morning, sparring with Santana. We got new topics and we are getting active. So please lock in. Make sure you guys go follow Ari, like I said, over on YouTube at Ari for Education. I'm proud of you guys. She's up to now 47 followers, right? Subscribers, whatever the case may be. But regardless, I'll see you guys in the morning. We're going to get some debates in the morning, and then we're going to gear back up for some more late nights tomorrow. Guys, thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. I love you guys. Late nights is always super special, and I'm happy that we were able to have these conversations. Thank you. Thank you for all the gifts, the taps, the likes, the shares. Thank you all for hanging out. Thank you all for being absolutely amazing. I love each and every one of you beautiful people. And as always, I'll say it with me.